What if everything in your life is a reflection of your vibration? And what if your vibration is how you think, how you feel, how you act, and it's on autopilot? So even if you want to experience more love, even if you want to experience more abundance, if your vibration is caught up in shame, fear, and anger, you will be blocking those things from coming into your life. And what if there was a simple process you could use for shifting your vibration to a higher level so that you started to experience more love, more joy, more abundance, more synchronicities, and more opportunities into your life as a reflection? Now, so many people don't understand the link between their self-image, their identity, and their vibration. And the identity is what is called a cybernetic mechanism, which means there is a set point. So if you have a subconscious set point that is rooted in shame, fear, and anger that maybe comes from childhood, even if you want to attract love, it'll be very hard because there's a shame there that says, I'm broken, there's something wrong with me. And what happens is that is blocking what you want from actually coming into your life. So when you shift your identity, when you shift the way you view yourself, and you understand how it connects to your vibration, everything will begin to shift. And what this video will show you how to do is how to shift into literally a higher vibrational you. So this is a training video that you can watch right now. If you're seeing this video, then right now I have that of the Shift Experience coaching program that is open. This is a program that you can join right now until Monday. It will close on Monday. Registration will close. This is a video that will show you a taste of what's in there. It's a 6-month transformational process that you can go through to shift into a higher vibrational you, to create inside-out transformation. So what you can do is watch this video. At the end, I'll remind you in case this is something that you want to join. Now is the time to join for enrollment if so, and if not, there'll be a wait list there for the next time that it opens. However, now is the best time to join, the cheapest price it'll ever be. And if you've ever been a part of a 6-month total transformational process with live weekly coaching, live curriculum to move through this process, then now is the time to join. So with that being said, I'll remind you at the end of this video, but here is that lesson right here. In this lesson, you're gonna understand the powerful link between your identity and your self-image to that of your vibration, and how this understanding can completely shift your reality and help you to, in a way, let go of what no longer serves you to then be literally a higher vibrational you. Now, understand first off that this right here is what we could call the scales of consciousness, something that Dr. David Hawkins has in his books, Power vs. Force, the book Letting Go, very powerful books. And understand that when it comes to your vibration in life, you get a reflection of the energy you are embodying. And what happens is if we are in an anger level of consciousness, if we have unprocessed fear, shame, or guilt, we are going to carry that with us. And we are going to experience people, situations, and opportunities to reflect those emotions and energies back to us. So what happens is whether they are subconscious or conscious, we are carrying it in our energetic field, and the people that we respond in our life and attract into our life are helping us to feel those emotions, to heal those emotions. Now, a huge shift in consciousness happens also when understanding identity and vibration, when you realize that your identity is a cybernetic mechanism. There we go. Cybernetic mechanism. Now, what this means is if you have that of a thermometer on the wall and it's set to 75 degrees and it's hot because it's summer, baby, and you open up the door, someone leaves the door open. Why would you do that if it's really hot outside, right? And it gets to 80, 90 degrees in the house. the cybernetic mechanism on the wall will turn on the AC to then bring it back down to 75. Now what happens is that is the set point. So when it comes to your identity, you have an identity that has a set point. Think of psycho-cybernetic mechanisms, because for some reason today it's challenging to say it all at once for me. The set point. Think of it as a set point. Now in 2017, I had a set point, psycho-cybernetic mechanism, where I saw myself as a 9-to-5 job goer. I was thinking, I was feeling, I was acting, I was feeling emotions equal to a 9-to-5 job goer because that was the autopilot mind. Subconsciously, I was attracting people into my life like narcissistic managers that reflected back the early childhood energy of having a narcissistic energy pattern in my life because subconsciously, it felt familiar. We attract what feels familiar. And until you become aware of these agreements, they will remain on autopilot. So understand, first off, your personality is flexible. Your personality is how you think, how you feel, how you act, how and who you have decided you are. And you will think, feel, act equal to who you've decided you are that has within it the past memories, the past things that have happened. But we'll get there in a minute. Now let's understand this. When you are going through the shift experience, you are going through SHIFT up into a higher vibrational you. Now, at the lower levels of vibration, of emotion, you have shame, guilt, fear, and anger. These are, in general, energies of control. They are of being a victim, blaming what happened in the past. For a long time, I was locked in these levels because I was the painful past that I had. And the way that I would rationalize that was, oh, you don't know, I went through all of this stuff when I was a kid. I didn't have much of a childhood. And then blaming the ex-stepmom, which then meant that I was then blaming a manager that was very similar energy pattern as my ex-stepmom. So understand that these emotions at the bottom are all set into place because of agreement. I'm going to show you the 2 levels of consciousness that will shift, that you will begin to plant the seeds of today that will lead into the shift experience moving forward. However, understand that attachment is the root of all suffering, and attachment is what keeps you from moving up the scale of consciousness. Now, when you think of a cork on the top of an ocean, the surface of the water, and you move the cork down using pressure, what do you do to get the cork to go back up to the surface of the ocean? You just let go. It will naturally raise back up because that's its nature. That's who it really is. It will feel effortless. In the same way, your vibration is naturally meant to feel joy, love, peace, and enlightenment. That's who you naturally are. The resistance, the attachment is what keeps us in lower vibrational states of consciousness. It's who we believe we are. It's our beliefs. It's the meaning that comes from the past. This is why certain enlightened people have said that once they became enlightened, they were trying so hard for so long to become enlightened. They become it and they realize how stupid it was. They start laughing because they realize it was their natural state. And in the same way, I believe it is all of our natural states to feel joy, love, and peace as a natural vibrational set point. And the thing is when we're trying to do it, I want to feel high vibration. I want to feel love. I want to feel joy, and I want to feel peace. Understand, we are emphasizing that we are down here. We are emphasizing lack. So a huge part of this process is understanding that as you let go, you will naturally start to be. Now, when you are also thinking thoughts, the lower vibrational emotions, we are much more attached to our thoughts. We are much more attached to our beliefs. And that's what keeps us feeling heavy. Now, when you let go of identification with thinking, because when you're in higher vibrational states of consciousness, you're not thinking. Think about it. Or don't. But when you are in love, joy, and peace, are you thinking, I am love, I am joy, I am peace? No, you are being. the more space you are able to create within yourself, the more you allow the divine to come through. Thinking itself is a survival mechanism. Think about it. Let's think. Thinking, it's like, when we're overthinking, we're overly in fight or flight trying to solve a problem. Now, a lot of times you'll notice that when you're overly thinking about something, you're trying to figure something out, you create a lot of resistance. Then you put it to the side. You're like, you know what? I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to go do this thing over here. And then you go do it. And then when you're not thinking, divine inspiration comes through. You figure it out. You're in the shower. You figure it out. Why? Because you're not thinking. Attachment is the root of all suffering, and attachment to thinking is a very important thing to become aware of, because you may think thoughts, but you are not your thoughts. You may have beliefs, but you're not your beliefs. Now, understand that this process of shifting is about understanding that there are things that happened to you in the past, and we're going to get to that in H with heal. We're going to talk about how our nervous system is very much wired to fight for familiar, even if familiar is toxic. But when you feel it and you heal it, you allow it to leave. But understand that a huge part of this process of raising your vibration and experiencing this shift in identity is understanding that there are two levels of identity here we're going to look at. One is victim. And the victim identity actually gets energy from the past, from saying, this happened to me, the blame of mom or dad or whoever did it. That victim energy will keep you in a victim archetype. It will keep you attracting people into your life to treat you bad because you identify with the victim. And one of the strongest human desires there is to remain consistent to how we define ourselves. And what the victim means is that there's an attachment to lower vibrational emotion that's keeping the pain body, as Eckhart Tolle calls it, active. So one of the huge shifts in consciousness you can have is at these two stars right here. One is neutrality. This is why I recommend having a neutrality practice, which means observing your thoughts for 5 or 10 minutes a day, becoming aware of your thoughts, which means you're not your thoughts, but you can look at your thoughts and not try to control them. You do that every day, it begins to change your identity over time. Now, the thing is, those things that happen to you, the lower vibrational emotions, when you are able to observe them, you start to allow the momentum of them to subside. And what eventually happens is you then have neutrality, willingness, reason. Reason is the intellect, it is the meaning. Everything in our life is based on the agreements we have about it. So the meaning we give things. If you lose your job, that is a neutral meaning. But we can choose to give it a bad meaning. It means I'm not worthy. It means I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. It means all of these things. Or someone could give it the meaning of, you know what? I didn't like that job anyways. I didn't like my manager anyways. I want to go after my full-time. I want to become full-time with my passion. I want to start my business. Or you could say, but Aaron, what if I did like my job? You can give it the meaning that there's other jobs out there that you may like better. You see, and then all three of those, by the way, or many different interpretations, will literally get a different mirror reflection in their life. You get two people, one person, they both lose their job. One person says, what's the point? I'm not worthy. This is what that means. Kind of like lazily looks for other jobs, doesn't feel worthy when they go to the interviews, doesn't get jobs, has a hard time. The other person says, you know what? I know my worth. I'm going for a better company. You know what? I know my worth. I'm going to start my own business. They're going to get different realities. Now, one of the huge shifts you will have, though, is when you begin to reframe the past. When you reframe the past, you literally shift, and the momentum of the past stops having so much negative hold over you. Like I did in the past with my ex-stepmom, I began to reframe it, saw that it led to my spiritual awakening, and it was like my whole reality began to shift very quickly. But ultimately, I shifted out of victim into responsibility. And the key is you have to become aware of your agreements. Your agreements are kind of like your stories. The thing is you've agreed even if they were given to you, even if people did things to you as a kid and you have these ingrained stories, if you don't take responsibility for those agreements, they will continue to remain on autopilot. You have to become aware that you've decided at a certain point, this is who I am, this is what I'm worthy of. So a huge part of understanding this is taking responsibility for our agreements. In 2017 or even 2012, there was a belief, life's not fair. I have this corporate politics BS I have to deal with. I have a controlling person in my life, just like I had a controlling person in my life when I was a kid. I work in a 9-to-5 job I don't like. I'm thinking, feeling, acting equal to it. If there's a people pleaser pattern, you've agreed that at a certain point in your past that you must ease tension and people in your life. But if you don't own your agreements, you will still be under the veil in the hypnosis, in the autopilot mind of this is happening to me. The blame, these people are doing it to me. This institution is doing it to me. Understand that you must become the source of meaning in your life. What things mean is up to you. And when things happen, you can choose to give things a positive meaning. And if you choose to give it a positive meaning, you will get a positive effect out of it. So when we talk about this, let's look at this. So shame, guilt, fear, anger. Eventually, the big shift happens at neutrality. You learn how to observe thoughts. This is like back in 2012 when I started observing my thoughts and I let them be there. And then I realized I had a lot of stories that were on autopilot. Fear, guilt, shame, anger towards the past. I realized those stories. I observed them. And then from there, we've got willingness and reason. Willingness is like willpower. It's like Tony Robbins. It's like going after what you want. Staying focused, having discipline. Reason is meaning. It's the meaning of the stories of who you are and the stories of your past and the reframing of them. Everything is fundamentally neutral. And then love, joy, peace, and enlightenment, that's all states of being. There's not much intellect there. It's a presence. So what you're going to be doing as you go through these months and all through this curriculum is SHIFT, story, heal, identity, frequency, transformation. You're going to be shifting into you being a higher vibrational you. And one of the mechanisms we do to do that is we let go. We let go of the past stories. We let go of the past victim mentality. We let go of expectation. We let go of the people that are, in a way, resonating with the unconscious, unprocessed parts of ourselves. And as you shift your vibration, you will literally shift the people, the synchronicities, and the opportunities you attract into your life. Now, a little more esoteric here. When you think of 3D energy, the third dimension, you think of separation. There's the separation, the victim energy of this is happening to me. There's a power oppressor, feeling separate from everyone else. And when people are in lower states of consciousness, they're much easier to control. That's why everything you see on the media is angry, fear, guilt. It's all these very lower vibrational emotions. People tune to it, they resonate with it, and therefore they stay in it. When do you create the identity shift is when you move into observing your thoughts. It's when you move into making a new choice about what things mean, which is this higher level up here. You choose what things mean. You could choose to be present. But ultimately, you can begin to reframe things that happen. Now, when you think of 4 and 5D energy, this is where you begin to take your power back. We talk about the 5th dimensional shift, 4th density, more esoteric concepts for understanding this new level of consciousness on the planet. Things become much more dreamlike. It's like as you begin to surrender to the divine to flow through you, as you begin to not try to control or understand or suppress this, you start to naturally raise. Your nervous system naturally begins to repattern itself. So understand that your inner self-image, your identity, is directly connected to your vibration. And that when you begin to process the emotion of the past, you begin to allow your vibration to naturally raise, and you will then notice that your life begins to change on the outside as a reflection. Because you indeed are a probable you. This is something that's said very often in the book, The Nature of Personal Reality by Jane Roberts. Talks about parallel reality. It says you are a probable you, and the you that you are experiencing is the one you are embodying. So if you want to embody something new, process, let go of the lower vibrational emotions, you will naturally begin to raise. Your attachments. Part of the attachment to the victim and to some of these perspectives, by the way, are something called payoffs. We're going to talk more about this in the S section. We get payoffs sometimes from being a victim. You maybe get attention. Maybe people say, oh, it's survival mechanisms as a kid. We may get a payoff from it and feel safe. Feel like people understand us now. Feel like people feel bad for us. So, we might get payoffs for, like a payoff example would be somebody, when they're a kid, they get sick. When they get sick, they get a whole bunch of attention. They don't realize, but later on in life as an adult, they subconsciously get sick so that they get more attention. Or when someone else is in pain, they may get a payoff from always bringing in people that they can fix. May get a payoff for being around people that are wounded, because then you feel like the rescuer. The payoff of that is I feel worthy. By enabling someone else subconsciously, maybe not aware of it, but it's like I feel worthy. I feel like I'm of value. And you become aware of these, and then you can begin to process them and begin to feel more free. So the next part of this is understanding that we all have the personality that we do, and our personality is a combination of how we think, how we feel, how we act. Now, one of the main things and one of the main processes of this whole entire shift experience that we're going through is we're basically repatterning ourselves out of the past and into our, you could say future, but past and future all exist here and now. So we begin to resonate with a new version of ourselves by loosening up the flexibility of believing that we are a set person. Even think about it in your own life. Was there a time in your life where you saw yourself one way and then you made a shift? Maybe in high school you were the goth kid or the emo kid. And eventually one day you cut your hair. You started dressing any other color than black. You stopped wearing certain makeup a certain way. Maybe at one point you were a girly girl and then you became more tomboy, or vice versa. Or maybe you were in high school and you joined a sports team and then you started to see yourself differently. Understand your personality, how you think, feel, and act, it's flexible. At one moment, I was a 9-to-5 job goer, and then I started to see myself as a YouTuber, and my whole personality shifted. I used to be a lazy person. I was entitled, wanting people to give, I was like, oh, I'm going to manifest being successful, and people are just going to give me things because they're going to see all this potential in me. I'm going to meet Tony Robbins. He's going to tell me, oh my God, Aaron, he doesn't sound like that. He's like, oh my God, Aaron, you have so much potential. You're going to be so impactful in people's lives. I see it in you. And I'd be like, oh my God, thanks. I'll do it, Tony. That's literally what I thought I was going to manifest that. But and for a long time, I knew I wanted to be on YouTube creating videos, but also I didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel good enough. All these blocks, all these subconscious past blocks. But then eventually I started to make daily videos, and through the daily action, it changed my identity. I literally people would say, how do you make daily videos on YouTube? How do you have such crazy willpower? I was like, I don't know. It's just natural for my identity. So you can shift. Basically, the point is your personality is flexible. Now, when you think of your timeline, you think of the past to the future. When you're 7, you're 12, 15, 18, when you had all these different years, maybe you had certain core memories. And those core memories may replay themselves over and over again, keeping you locked in similar familiar dynamics. Now, the personality shift that you can begin to go through is understanding that the only thing and the main thing that is holding you back is your story about who you are, your story about how life works, your stories, which are your beliefs about reality, about relationships. And until you own these stories, you will remain in a reality where there's blame or where you're the victim. And you have to be willing to let go of the victim mentality. In what area of your life may you be more of a victim? And as long as you stay in that energy, you will stay disempowered and you will stay not owning your agreements. Now, agreements is also kind of like a story, but you've agreed at a certain point. This is the way reality works. Whether your parents didn't have a good relationship, so you're like, I have an agreement that relationships don't really work out. That commitment is scary. Well, that agreement, even though maybe you witnessed it, you agreed to it. Do you see the difference here? You have to realize you are agreeing to different energies. You are agreeing to what things mean. Everything is neutral. So become aware of what your dominant stories are about life. What are the dominant patterns in your life? What are the dominant identities in your life? What are the dominant labels in your life? Now, how we are going to be shifting into this new version of ourselves is we are going to be doing that of looking at two different modes. One is through meditation. As Joe Dispenza says, meditation means to become familiar with. And I think he said that because that's actually what the word means. Just saying it so you don't think, oh, Aaron came up with this clever word. Familiar, to become familiar with. Meditation allows you to become familiar with the past that you're living in right now and the same patterns that have been on autopilot, and allows you to become familiar with the new you. And it's also your imagination. This is when we begin talking about Neville Goddard and some of the old school techniques that have been around for hundreds, like over 100 years, of how to create your reality by influencing your subconscious mind, imagination. And then the bottom levels, think of this like the meditation is like connecting. This is like the grounded aspect of action and being. Who you are being is what you experience in your life. And what you want to start becoming aware of is, who are you being? And who have you agreed you are in the past? And what we will be doing over the course of this program is understanding as well that there are these different states of brainwave activity. And what happens is when we were a kid, we developed a lot of what things mean. And when we were a kid, from about 0 to 7 years old, we are primarily in a theta state. Theta brainwave state that deeply influences our subconscious mind. Then when we're about 7 or 8, up until puberty, we're in mainly an alpha state, which is like when you're watching television, it's a more relaxed state, also can influence the subconscious mind. And then 15 years onwards, in our daily awake state, we may be in beta state, which is the more conscious brainwave activity, very little influence over the subconscious mind. Sometimes it can be fight or flight. Now, what we will be doing in this program is using meditation to rewire our sense of identity, our sense of self, our sense of understanding of our beliefs. And as we do that, it will change what we experience in our reality. We're going to be changing at the subconscious level. So meditation is one way to do that. Realizing reality is a dream of itself is a way to do this. There are metaphors. There are things happening in your life right now that if you pay attention to, have things to teach you. Things in our reality are very often different forms, different symbols of different things we're learning in our consciousness. Your dreams have powerful meaning too. And what I want to begin to encourage you to do is to have a new relationship with life, a spiritual connection to life of what is life trying to teach you. And your homework for today is to begin looking at your dreams, to begin looking at different symbols in your life, to begin looking at who are you being? What is your current personality of how you're thinking, feeling, and acting? What are the current patterns in your life? What are the current attachments you have to these lower vibrational emotions? Start to ask yourself these questions because they were priorly unconscious. You make them conscious and you allow yourselves to really shift. And every moment, understand you're a new you. You're a new you. You're a new you. You just may be creating and attached to the old stories that continue to create the same things over and over again. So in the shift experience, what you're going to be doing over the next few months, it's shifting out of these attachments into a new you to start to be a new you. So one thing I would recommend is what you do is you have a commitment. What are you committed to when it comes to shifting into this new you? What are the daily habits you're going to have? And what I recommend is the daily meditation habit. And then become aware of what is called the revision technique. The revision technique is something you do before you go to bed at night. It comes from that of Neville Goddard. And what it allows you to do is to tap into understanding that in your energy field, you have the accumulated thoughts, emotions, and energies. And what happens is every day when you go to bed, when you're thinking before you go to bed about what happened throughout the day, if you were to revise the things that maybe didn't happen the way that you wanted to, you could either reframe them or you could imagine things happening the way that you wanted to, feeling gratitude for it. You begin to prime your field. And that field begins to change what you experience on the outside. So understand that when you are also looking at this, you are beginning to own what's inside of your field. Because ultimately, if there's shame, fear, anger, or guilt, and there's people in your life that you blame and you're feeling like the victim, it's in your field. And if you don't take responsibility for it, you will continue to attract people into your life that reflect that back. So what we're doing here is we're changing the field. We're becoming aware of taking inventory of what's in the field. And what you can begin to do is begin to have an inventory list of what is in your field. What emotions are you feeling a majority of the time? When you're around certain people, how does that affect your emotion? What story is there about people? Because you think, oh, that person's causing me to feel this way. I can't set boundaries because they're so controlling. That's a story that's in your field. Do you see? Let's take away blame and let's put the energy inside of our own field of understanding that there are beliefs in our field, there are emotions in our field, there are stories in our field, there are attachments in our field, there are unprocessed emotions from the past in our field. Until we take responsibility for our field, we will continue to recreate over and over again the energies that felt familiar. So your homework for today, I know I've talked about a couple pieces of homework. This is what it's actually going to be. Now, I'm going to put a workshop to that of the revision technique. I'm going to link it below so that you can watch that if you want. I have a whole YouTube video on the revision technique. It's very powerful for revising your day and before you go to bed when you're in the state, being able to feel and to prime your field for what you want. But in general, I want you to take inventory of your field. What beliefs are inside of your field? What emotions are you consistently feeling inside of your field? Who are the people in your life that are reflecting back certain unprocessed emotions? And start to become aware of what this is. And then you can begin to take ownership of it. Realize you've agreed to it. You've normalized it. These emotions are familiar. These energies are familiar. These people are familiar. And until you change your field, you will continue attracting what you're experiencing in your outer life because that's all outer life is. It's a reflection of what you feel on the inside. So you'll see a PDF below that is that of the inventory of what's inside your field. And start to become aware of what attachments, what thoughts, what identities, what labels are inside of your field. How will you commit to a neutrality practice and declare your commitment on that PDF? It'll be a fillable PDF. And then we're going to talk more about reframing in the S section. But I want you just to become aware of the patterns for now. Take inventory of what's in your field, of how you're thinking, how you're feeling, how you're acting, and what your identity is. And as you start to become aware of this, this is where a lot of the transformation starts because you start to claim your power back. You've agreed to it. They're your agreements. They're your unprocessed energies. Maybe someone else did it to you, but that story will keep it happening to you. As you clean out your energetic field, you will clean out the experience and the outer reflection in your life. So the last homework for this module is for you to fill out the inventory sheet below of what is inside your field, what emotions you feel on a consistent level. And what you can do for this is go throughout your day, carry a little notebook, and become aware of what your dominant emotions are. what your dominant thoughts are. Start to become aware of it. Dominant types of people you run into are. Do that for a day or two, and you'll start to become aware of it if you don't know what they are right now. You don't have to meticulously write down every little thing that happens throughout your day, but just in general, a few times a day, maybe an alarm goes off, and you start to write down, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? Who are the people you're attracting? What emotions are inside of your body? What stories are active inside of you? Start to write it down. And understand that this awareness is where the transformation really begins. So go ahead and you will see that sheet below that you can begin to fill out or take notes throughout your day. And then other than that, I'll still link down the revision video in case you're interested in that. That's the end of this module. The next one will be coming very soon. I am so excited for all of you as we really start to get into the meat and potatoes of this transformation process. And if you want to understand how to create a total shift in identity, in the Shift Academy, what we do is we go through the process of SHIFT. These are the different modules. You will learn how to shift out of the old stories, beliefs, and identity. That's what S stands for. H stands for heal. You learn the frame technique, how to feel safe in your body. We do a lot of inner child healing, some of the most powerful work that you can do. Learn how to go from empath to being in your own frame of reality, how to stop attracting narcissists, heal codependency. These are all things that we do through weekly coaching calls with that of a curriculum. And then I is identity. This is where we become aware of our self-image, the values that drive our self-image, how to have habits that change us at the identity level. And then frequency, the frequency of the dream reality you want to experience already exists. Show you how to shift your field to embody it. We do also group guided experiences for other people to see you in this identity. It's a very powerful experience. Quantum field shifting. This is all how to make it natural for your identity. And then T is transformation, where you literally shift into it. So like I said, this is a 6-month coaching curriculum that you get with a year of calls. And you can join right now by clicking the link below, checking it out. Now it is open for enrollment if you're seeing this, and then there'll be a wait list if you're watching this after the fact. However, I'm so excited for this. I hope to help you shift into a new you and shift into a higher vibration. So if you want to join that, I'll go ahead and link it right here.